There is no nonsense about the forbidden book that reveals exactly what took place before birth. Prior to your birth, every aspect of your existence was meticulously planned out. Every single option, every single obstacle, and every single connection was all yours to choose. Not at random, but with a specific goal in mind. It has been suggested, both by ancient teachings and by contemporary discoveries, that your soul lived in a place beyond time before your birth, where it was responsible for weaving the fabric of your existence. You were the one who chose your parents, your problems, and even the challenges you needed to overcome in order to mold your development and evolution. The people who are afraid of the ramifications of this information have either concealed it, branded it as taboo, or disregarded it, simply because you would have a better understanding of the control you have over your own life if you were aware of the truth about your origins. And it is something that they really cannot afford for you to be aware of. We are going to delve into the mysteries of pre-birth existence in this video. We are going to investigate esoteric teachings, scientific similarities, and forbidden wisdom that has been concealed from you. The events that take place prior to birth are not merely a mystery, rather they are the key to discovering the meaning behind your life. Imagine a place that is beyond anything that we are familiar with, a realm of pure consciousness in which time does not exist in the sense that we understand it. In ancient beliefs, this is referred to as the pre-birth world, which is a dimension in which the soul rests before beginning its journey on earth. This phase is referred to as the Siddha-Bardo in Tibetan Buddhism. It is one of numerous intermediate states of being that may be experienced. In this state, the soul is suspended between two worlds, where it is not bound by a physical body but is yet profoundly connected to the spiritual rules that govern its fate. Not only is this a place of enormous meaning, but it is also a place of chaotic limbo. According to legend, the Siddha-Bardo is a location where karma exerts its influence over the subsequent incarnation of the soul by means of wants, unresolved debts, and spiritual intents that act as magnets, drawing the soul into its next life. The Tibetan Buddhist tradition, however, is not the only one that makes reference to this enigmatic location. There are references in Hermetic writings to the concept of a plane of causality, which is a place where the soul connects with the vibrational frequencies of the path that it has chosen. The Emerald Tablet contains an axiom that states, "What occurs in the higher realms shapes the material reality, and the choices made here determine the trajectory of the soul's experience on earth." In this dimension, your essence is not constrained by the physical body, but rather in the form of a radiant energy that is acutely conscious of the limitless possibilities it possesses. To what extent does this domain matter? Due to the fact that here is the place where the blueprint for your life is produced. There is no randomness in any of the challenges, joys, or heartbreaks that we experience. You made the decision to choose each one of them, motivated by the energetic imprints of previous lives and the yearning of the soul to develop. You might think of it as a cosmic drafting table, where you, as a soul, collaborate with universal principles to draw up the outline of your journey through life as a conscious being. You are pulled to the family, environment, and circumstances that will teach you the things that your spirit yearns for. This is because karma is guiding in your direction. There is a widespread view that life is a sequence of coincidences. Nevertheless, this concept of pre-birth planning undermines that belief. As an alternative, it paints a vision of great intentionality in which even the most painful events are possibilities for progress. It is not an easy fact to embrace, particularly when we are confronted with grief or loss. Yet ancient wisdom reassures us that these experiences are a part of a greater design. If you have ever had the experience of feeling that your life has a deeper purpose, or that certain circumstances or relationships appear to be virtually predetermined, then you have experienced a glimpse of this concealed truth. But planning is only one aspect of this universe. There are many more. There are other traditions that depict it as a location of breathtaking beauty and tranquility, where spirits are able to reestablish a deeper sense of togetherness prior to their subsequent incarnation. From the perspective of Gnostic teachings, this is referred to as the pleroma, which is a condition of divine fullness and harmony. When compared to the earthly level, where dualism and separation frequently predominate in human awareness, this plane is a striking contrast. However, this temporary reprieve will not last forever. As it descends from this higher condition into the thick physical reality of human life, the soul is aware that it must return. The choices that are made in this sphere are not in any way arbitrary. There is a strong connection between them and karmic imprints, which serve as the impetus for the decisions that the soul makes. Karma is not a form of retribution. Rather, it is a natural rule that ensures every action will result in an equal reaction back from the universe. The pull that the soul has toward particular experiences in the next life is shaped by the actions, intentions, and unsolved lessons that it has experienced in the past. This helps to explain why some people are born into enormous privilege while others are forced to contend with major challenges. When viewed from a spiritual point of view, every condition provides precisely what the soul requires in order to advance. However, it is important to keep in mind that some people may query whether these teachings are merely myths or allegories. In many cases, the findings of contemporary studies on previous life regression and near-death experiences are consistent with these ancient concepts. Subjects who are under the influence of deep hypnosis frequently express vivid memories of a world that existed before birth. They spoke about the process of selecting their parents, the difficulties they faced, and even the appropriate moment for them to enter the world. These reports, which are eerily identical across many cultures and circumstances, bring to light the possibility that this hidden dimension is not merely the stuff of mythology. It is possible that it contains a fundamental truth. In addition, while we are removing the veil that has been placed over this restricted information, there is even more that we are unable to disclose here. In the free newsletter that we offer, Insights Academy, we delve even further into these puzzles and provide information that is too sensitive to be shared on this platform. You can get a free copy of the Kybalion, a hermetic text that is filled with everlasting knowledge, if you sign up by clicking on the link that is provided in the description. This offer is only available for a limited time. It can be concluded that the pre-birth region is more than simply an intriguing concept. It is the cornerstone around which your life's purpose is built. When you comprehend it, you will be able to access the more profound aspects of your life. But what comes next following this particular stage? What is the process by which the soul translates its design into the experience of being human? In this regard, it is necessary to examine the process of soul contracts and life planning, which is a holy cooperation that guarantees that no journey is ever undertaken by an individual on their own. What would you do if you knew that you had a conversation with a bunch of souls before you were even born? You've known some of them for so long that they've been planning your journey. Together, you made decisions on your issues, relationships, and even the most difficult obstacles you have ever faced, all with the goal of achieving growth. No, this is not a fantasy. The doctrine is so profound that it may be found in a variety of esoteric traditions, ranging from Tibetan Buddhism to Hermeticism, and it can even be discovered in contemporary metaphysical study. Based on the idea of soul contracts, it is believed that every significant event that occurs in your life was predetermined before you came to be on this planet. These agreements are not imposed on you, rather they are crafted with love and a profound comprehension of the need for your soul to become more evolved. Imagine that you are writing a cosmic narrative in which every character, including your parents, friends, lovers, and even enemies, plays a role in your spiritual development. It is common practice to refer to these groupings as soul groups, and they work together to make sure that the lessons you need to learn are offered to you in your life. Not a solitary voyage, but rather a collaborative effort is required. Take, for instance, the area of relationships. When you first met someone, did you feel an instant connection with them, as if you had known them for a very long time? Or perhaps the reverse, a person who seems to challenge you at every turn, pushing your patience to its limits with each new obstacle they present. These are not only coincidental occurrences. According to the theory of soul contracts, these persons are carrying out the responsibilities that you and they had previously agreed upon before birth. The supportive and nurturing parent who takes care of you, the friend who encourages you, the partner who challenges you, and even the adversary who encourages you to reach your full potential. All of them are a component of the plan. Why would a soul choose to endure suffering or adversity? Despite the fact that it is one of the most challenging questions to answer, this is one of the most important aspects of the concept of life planning. Growing rarely occurs while one is comfortable. Challenges are known to foster resiliency, compassion, and knowledge, and the soul is aware of this fact. Even if a life devoid of challenges could be pleasurable, it does not provide many opportunities for personal growth and development. For this reason, souls frequently opt to submit themselves to tests that will push them beyond their boundaries and drive them to confront their most profound anxieties. It has nothing to do with punishment. There is a focus on evolution. There are patterns in life that appear to be too exact to be random, and the concept of soul contracts helps explain these patterns. For instance, individuals who find themselves in unhealthy relationships on a regular basis may be working through karmic bonds that were left unresolved in prior lives. Self-love, limits, or forgiveness could be the lesson that is being taught. The pattern will continue to exist until the lesson is internalized. It is almost as if the soul has made a spiritual pact with itself to suffer through these difficulties until the process of maturation is finished. This instruction can be found in a variety of different ancient faiths. For instance, Krishna describes the path of the eternal soul, which involves reincarnating multiple times in order to fulfill its dharma. This is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Life is portrayed by Hermeticism as an intricate interaction of universal rules, in which every action has a consequence, and every consequence teaches a lesson. Hermeticism is a philosophical approach to life. We are reminded by these lessons that life is not a random occurrence. When it comes to free will and cosmic law, this is a ballet that is wonderfully arranged. Thousands of cases have been reported by contemporary metaphysical researchers such as Michael Newton in Journey of Souls. These researchers have documented instances in which individuals under hypnosis recall the pre-birth planning technique. Subjects detail their experiences of coming together with their soul groups in a higher world. This involves looking back at previous incarnations and figuring out what their new incarnation should be about. According to them, there are guides or higher beings who aid in this process, making sure that the decisions made by each soul are in accordance with their ultimate development. On the other hand, there is a significant aspect of soul contracts that is often frequently disregarded. Having free will, even while the blueprint of your life has already been built, it is totally up to you to determine how you will navigate it. Picture it as a map in your mind. You have the ability to choose the path that you follow, the speed at which you go, and the deviations that you take, even though the destinations have been designated. The delicate equilibrium that exists between free will and predetermined outcomes is what gives life its complexity and beauty. Having an understanding of soul contracts can give you a new perspective on the difficulties you face. When you start to see challenges as opportunities, you start to see them as opportunities rather than as random misfortunes. That challenging supervisor, those painful feelings, it is that disease. Each of these is a chapter in the story that you have written. However, this perspective has the potential to give purpose to the battle, even while it does not make the agony go away. A feeling that you are contributing to something that is more significant. There is, however, a catch. After you are born, you won't remember any of this otherwise. It is through the veil of forgetting that you are able to experience life in a genuine manner and make choices without restriction. These lessons would not carry the same weight if they were not concealed by this veil. Suppose you were aware of the conclusion of a movie before it even started. The power of the encounter would be stripped away. Regarding life, the same is true. The veil enables us to completely submerge ourselves in the experience of the journey, to feel as though everything is happening for the very first time, to laugh, to grieve, and to develop. Our attention is now drawn to an important question. When we forget something, how do we come back to the information that we once knew? How can we ensure that we are in accordance with the contracts that we have made? The solution rests in gaining an understanding of the veil itself as well as the function that it serves. Within the next paragraph, we will investigate the enigma that is the veil of forgetting, as well as the reasons why it is both a struggle and a gift. It is possible that this particular stage in the journey of the soul is the most misunderstood yet essential component of our lived experience. Let us discover its hidden mysteries. What would it be like to enter a life in which you were aware of every single curve and twist before it happened? Each and every victory, each and every misery, and each and every lesson painstakingly planned out. Is it possible that you would still have the same experience? Could you actually feel it? We are taught that the response is not yes by the ancient knowledge that is contained among many traditions. It is necessary for us to forget in order to live a life that is complete, genuine, and unrestricted. This act of forgetting, which is frequently referred to as the veil, is a profound struggle as well as a precious blessing. It is the reason why we cannot remember the spiritual principles that we formerly knew, or the pre-birth plans that we put into place. It's what makes living on Earth such an immersing experience in the first place. Because of the veil, every moment is guaranteed to feel authentic. If you did not have it, your life would be like reading from a script. You would be disconnected from the feelings and decisions that constitute human existence. It is neither a mistake nor a punishment that you have forgotten this. The design relies heavily on this component. When you enter this existence with no recollection of the soul contracts you made, you are afforded the opportunity to relearn these truths via the process of experience. The process is similar to putting together a puzzle that you were unaware you were holding the components to. You are getting closer to a more profound comprehension of who you are and why you are here with each and every choice you make, every connection you create, and every difficulty you confront. This concept was encapsulated by Plato in his allegory of the cave, in which he describes souls who were falling into the corporeal world and lost sight of the divine light. In the teachings of the Gnostics, this veil is portrayed as a barrier that obscures our innate understanding of the cosmos. It is a boundary between the earthly realms and the celestial realms. We are not being punished or confused by the veil, which is a barrier. The greatest instrument for development is this. The richness of free will would be absent from life if it were not for it. All of the intense feelings that are associated with love, fear, sorrow, and triumph would be hollow, and the choices that are made would be predetermined. In addition, the veil plays a significant part in the manner in which we experience intimate connections and relationships. Imagine that you were aware of the specific function that each individual in your life was supposed to fulfill. If you knew that the person who wounded you was only carrying out a pre-birth pact, how could you ever forgive them in an honest and sincere manner? All of it, including the suffering, the battle, and the reunion, would feel like it was manufactured. The act of forgetting allows you to interact with other people in a manner that is unfiltered and genuine, which in turn amplifies the significance of the lessons of love, compassion, and forgiveness. Nevertheless, the veil does not imply that your pre-birth goals are no longer meaningful. In spite of the fact that you could forget the particulars of your soul contracts, the pattern of your existence continues to direct you. Quite frequently, this is experienced as intuition, which is a feeling of knowing without knowing. Is there ever a time when you felt an unfathomable pull toward a particular person, location, or choice? That is your soul speaking to you through the veil, urging you to follow the course that you have imagined for yourself. You might think of these intuitive moments as being similar to breadcrumbs that were left by your higher self. They will bring you back to the experiences and lessons that you chose before you were born. This viewpoint is supported by contemporary metaphysical study, which is really interesting. It is common for those who are experiencing deep hypnosis or past life regression to report having an experience with the veil. When they make the journey from the spiritual realm to the physical plane, they describe the experience as being similar to entering a dense fog or crossing a border. As soon as you pass through this threshold, you will feel a strong sense of forgetting your previous experiences. Nevertheless, even in the midst of their amnesia, they describe a thin awareness, similar to a tune that they heard in the distance, which serves to remind them that their journey serves a purpose. There is also a strong connection between the veil and the idea of free will. Without it, life would feel more like a simulation than a trip and would be less enjoyable. Because the solutions would already be obvious, you wouldn't have to struggle with challenging decisions or suffer the consequences of making mistakes. You will be able to take control of your life in real time thanks to the veil, which guarantees that every decision you make will be entirely yours. Because of this, traditional traditions place a strong emphasis on the significance of self-consciousness and conscious awareness. They instruct that even if you are unable to recall your spiritual roots, you are still able to tune in to the higher guidance that is flowing through you. However, the veil does more than merely conceal, it also provides protection. During their time in the pre-birth world, spirits frequently discuss their previous lifetimes in great detail, including the suffering and trauma they endured during those existences. Just try to picture yourself bringing all of that information into a single lifetime. The burden of it would be intolerable to endure alone. You are able to begin anew, free from the burden of the complete history of your soul, because the veil serves as a protection. Instead of being tormented by what has come before, it enables you to face each problem with a sense of novelty and possibilities, which is a freedom that you could not otherwise have. Therefore, this does not imply that the veil is devoid of any challenges. One may experience feelings of isolation, as if they are traveling aimlessly through life without a map. There are a lot of people who talk of having a sense of longing, which is the sensation that something is lacking but cannot be identified exactly. Divine homesickness is a term that is occasionally used to describe the yearning of the soul to reestablish a connection with its spiritual nature. In spite of the fact that the veil makes it more difficult to access this link, it does not render it impossible. Meditation, introspection, and the investigation of esoteric teachings are all practices that can assist you in seeing beyond the veil and providing you with insights into your true nature and purpose when you engage in them. And this is the conundrum that the curtain presents. However, it also brings people together. It gives the impression that there is a separation. On the other hand, this presents you with a task to look for the truth. The road to recall who you are, why you are here, and what your life is designed to teach you is the most exciting experience that someone could possibly have. It is the curtain that creates the stakes, the urgency, and the beauty of being alive. It guarantees that every decision, every moment, and every connection holds some degree of significance. How, therefore, can cosmic principles such as karma and vibration continue to have an effect on our lives if the veil is able to ensure that we forget? What forces direct the journey of the soul once it has crossed over into the domain of the physical reality? In spite of the fact that they are invisible, these ancient rules actually contain the blueprint for our existence. As we delve into the secret mechanics of the soul's journey, we will gain an understanding of how it is necessary for us to investigate the universal laws that govern the cosmos and the role that these principles play in molding our existence. There was already a sophisticated web of universal rules at work, molding the pattern of your life, even before you took your first breath or even entered your physical body. This was happening before you even entered your physical form. These laws, which include karma, vibration, and attraction, function similarly to the unseen threads of a huge cosmic tapestry, weaving together the events, relationships, and difficulties that make up your trip. Instead of being arbitrary or punishing, they are guiding principles that maintain balance, growth, and progress. They are neither discriminatory nor punitive. Before you can have a complete understanding of your life, you must first have an understanding of how these principles operate, particularly in the world of pre-birth. However, despite being one of the universal laws that is most widely recognized, karma is also one of the laws that is most frequently misinterpreted. Many people believe that karma is a type of cosmic punishment, a system that rewards good deeds and punishes negative ones according to a reward-for-tat system. However, karma is not about retribution in the most literal sense of the word. One must strike a balance. The principle of cause and effect ensures that every action, intention, and decision generates an energetic ripple that must eventually return to its origin. This principle is known as the law of cause and effect. An examination of these ripples, the unresolved debts, the unlearned lessons, and the unmet intentions from previous lives is carried out by your soul prior to birth. These karmic imprints direct the decisions you make in the realm before birth, which in turn affects the course of your life that you choose to take. Imagine, for example, a soul who in a previous existence struggled with possessing excessive amounts of avarice or selfishness. This soul may have made the decision to live a life of financial difficulty in the realm before birth in order to acquire the virtues of appreciation, generosity, and humility. It is possible that another soul, who may have caused suffering to other people, has the intention of living a life that is rich in opportunity to learn compassion and forgiveness. It is not the soul that is compelled to make these choices. They are created voluntarily, with the awareness that progress frequently occurs as a result of resistance to adversity. Therefore, karma is not a kind of retribution. It is a teacher who provides the soul with just what it requires in order to progress. On the other hand, karma is just one aspect of the problem. Within the context of the pre-birth planning process, the law of vibration is of similar significance. According to this law, everything in the universe, from the tiniest particle to the most complex organism, vibrates at a particular frequency. This law applies to everything in the cosmos. The conditions of your subsequent incarnation are determined by the vibration of your soul, which is formed by your intentions, feelings, and the karmic imprints you have left behind. During your time in the pre-birth world, you establish a connection with the vibrational patterns that will most effectively support your development. This is the reason why certain souls are drawn to situations that are peaceful and stable, while other souls are drawn to environments that are chaotic and full of turmoil. Every single vibration has the ability to bring about one-of-a-kind experiences and opportunities. This principle is excellently encapsulated in the well-known axiom that can be found on the Emerald Tablet, which is a fundamental component of Hermetic philosophy. In the same way as above, so below. The vibrations that your soul produces in the spiritual realm are reflected in the world that you experience physically. If the vibration of love and service is carried by your soul, then it is likely that you will attract a life that is full of connections and circumstances that mirror those traits. When your vibration is clouded by fear or resentment, on the other hand, your life may provide you with obstacles that compel you to confront and transcend those energy. Your internal condition will always be reflected in your exterior world, since the law of vibration guarantees that this will always be the case. On the basis of this principle, the law of attraction functions as a magnet that attracts experiences, people, and opportunities into your life based on the vibrational frequency that you have. Within the world of pre-birth, your soul makes use of this law in order to align itself with the particular conditions that it needs in order to accomplish its purpose. If, for instance, your objective is to acquire the ability to be resilient, you can draw a life that is full with challenges that force you to cultivate your own inner strength. There is a possibility that you will be drawn to a family or group that will allow your special abilities to develop if your goal is to heal. It is guaranteed by the law of attraction that nothing in your life is a random occurrence. There is a connection between everything and the goals that you established before you were born. The notions that make up these rules are not only theoretical. These ideas can be found in ancient books and teachings from a variety of different cultures. The Bhagavad Gita describes the journey that the soul takes throughout eternity, which is directed by Dharma and Karma. Within the realm of actuality, the Hermetic writings place a strong emphasis on the dynamic relationship between cause, effect, and vibration. There is a divine order that guides the descent of the soul into the corporeal world, and even Gnostic doctrines describe this divine order. Despite the fact that these teachings date back thousands of years, they are found to be in remarkable agreement with contemporary metaphysical insights and even new scientific hypotheses of awareness and energy. When the soul manifests itself in the physical world, however, how do these principles come into play? Right here is when the splendor of free choice is brought into sharp relief. In spite of the fact that these universal principles serve as a guide for your pre-birth blueprint, it is not a predetermined screenplay. You are not a puppet in the hands of the cosmic strings. In its place, you are an active participant in your journey, making use of the choices you make to navigate the terrain that is presented to you during the voyage. Imagine that you are playing a game in which there are various ways to get the same goal. However, the manner in which you play within those boundaries is totally up to you, even though the laws establish the parameters. These ancient teachings are frequently supported by contemporary research from the fields of former life regression and near-death experiences, which is an interesting development. Numerous persons who have experienced profound hypnosis have reported having the opportunity to observe the complex interaction of these rules in the realm that existed prior to birth. In their words, they discuss the process of analyzing their karmic patterns, experiencing the vibrations of their soul, and aligning themselves with the circumstances that would be most beneficial to their development. Some people even remember being presented with a number of different possible lives, each of which had its own set of difficulties and rewards, and then selecting the one that had the greatest sense of resonance with their purpose. This interaction between karma, vibration, and attraction not only influences your pre-birth planning, but it also continues to have an impact on your life from the moment you are born until the day you die. Because of this, certain patterns appear to repeat themselves. Certain relationships have a sense of being predetermined, and certain encounters give rise to a feeling of déjà vu. These laws are the unseen builders of your existence, and they make certain that every moment, regardless of how insignificant or magnificent it may be, serves a higher purpose. On the other hand, if these laws are so specific and formidable, then why is it that this information is not more commonly understood? The question is why it has been confined to the world of mysticism and esotericism, where it is hidden from the understanding of the general public. To answer that question, we need to investigate the factors that have contributed to the suppression of this wisdom. The truth is that the comprehension of these fundamental truths, as well as the empowerment that they provide, has been purposefully obscured. We will investigate the reasons behind the prohibition of this information in the following part, as well as the individuals who stand to gain from its concealment. Have you ever pondered the reasons behind the fact that great spiritual teachings, such as those concerning the existence of pre-birth realities and universal laws, are kept secret from the general public? It is not because they are devoid of potential or significance. On the contrary, this information has the power to revolutionize one's life. It has the potential to enable people to take charge of their lives, liberate themselves from fear, and live their lives with a sense of purpose. Moreover, this is precisely the reason why it has been repressed. People in positions of authority have understood throughout history that a people that is both empowered and awakened is far more difficult to manage. In the history of humanity, one of the most heinous acts of manipulation that has ever been committed is the purposeful concealment of certain truths. Let's begin with the past right now. Ancient literature that openly discussed the nature of the soul and the existence of the soul before birth have frequently been guarded, restricted, or even completely destroyed. Take, for instance, the works of the Hermetic tradition. Over the course of several centuries, these deep teachings about the nature of the universe, karma, and the path of the soul were exclusively available to a restricted group of initiates. Organized religions, notably during the early Christian era, were responsible for the suppression of the Gnostic teachings, which place an emphasis on spiritual awakening and the wisdom that the soul possesses before the birth. There were a great number of Gnostic writings that were deemed heretical and were systematically removed. How come? Mainly due to the fact that these teachings provided an alternative perspective on life, one that did not rely on fear or mindless allegiance to an external authority. They believed that the divine is present inside you, that you have the ability to determine your own fate, and that the difficulties that you face in life are not punishments for sin, but rather opportunities for personal development when you face them. The control systems that were depending on people's perceptions of themselves as powerless and dependent were destroyed by these notions. It is much simpler to exercise authority over a population that understands its own divine potential than it is over a population that feels it is at the whim of circumstances that are beyond its control. Despite the passage of time, remains of this suppression are still visible. As a result of the widespread perception that esoteric teachings are pseudoscience or New Age foolishness, they are frequently confined to the margins of academic discourse and public discourse. In the meantime, mainstream systems such as school and religion place an emphasis on narratives that ensure individuals remain bound to certain points of view. It is uncommon to have an open conversation on the idea of pre-birth planning. For example, despite the fact that it is consistent with a great number of ancient traditions and contemporary metaphysical discoveries. All of this is not a coincidence. All of this is the consequence of a determined attempt to prevent people from understanding the extent of the power that they actually possess. However, who stands to gain from this? Within the structures of power and control is where the answer can be found. All dogmatic institutions, including governments, corporations, and other organizations, live on predictability and obedience. A populace that is awakened, one that is aware of the laws of karma, vibration, and attraction, would demand accountability, question authority, and place a higher priority on spiritual development than material advancement. Imagine the consequences that would occur if people came to the realization that they did not have to comply to the constraints of society or buy into fear-driven narratives in order to accomplish their desires. A number of different businesses, ranging from consumerism to pharmaceuticals, are founded on the idea that individuals are lacking in certain aspects and must look to outside sources for answers to fill the gaps. In addition, Organized religion has been a factor in the suppression of this movement. Over the course of history, a great number of religious institutions have relied on fear and guilt in order to sustain their authority. In a framework that places an emphasis on sin, punishment, and the requirement for salvation from the outside, the concept that your soul is fundamentally divine and that you have the ability to change your destiny through universal laws does not fit cleanly into the framework. These establishments made certain that people continued to rely on their direction by eliminating lessons concerning pre-birth planning and the liberty of the soul. Repression, on the other hand, is not merely a historical occurrence. It is still going on today. Concepts that are considered esoteric are frequently mocked or distorted by contemporary media and entertainment, which portrays them as outlandish or irrelevant. While this is going on, we are constantly being bombarded with messages that reinforce the notion that life is unpredictable, chaotic, and beyond our ability to control. The purpose of this narrative is to maintain individuals in a condition of perpetual worry and consumption, causing them to look for meaning in external sources rather than within themselves. Despite this, the hiding of this information does not mean that it is no longer present. Throughout the course of human history, there have always been individuals and groups who have preserved and disseminated these lessons, frequently at the expense of their own personal safety. The Hermetic texts, the Emerald Tablet, the Gnostic scriptures, and a great number of other works have been preserved since they were transmitted from secret organizations, mystics, and scholars to subsequent generations. This information is now more readily available than it has ever been before, thanks to the proliferation of books, internet resources, and even platforms such as this one. The fact that this information has never been strictly prohibited is a source of irony. However, it has been concealed in plain sight. The laws of karma, vibration, and attraction are in effect regardless of whether or not you are conscious of their existence. Your life is shaped by pre-birth planning, regardless of whether you are aware of this fact or not. The distinction lies in the fact that once you have a firm grasp on these realities, you can start working with them in a conscious manner. It is possible for you to break free from the cycle of fear and control and enter a life that is filled with purpose and empowerment. However, why is it that the time has come to accept this information? Because the world is beginning to awaken. More individuals than ever before are looking for more profound truths and challenging the structures that have ruled their life up until this point. We are currently living in an era of spiritual awakening, during which previously hidden lessons are gradually coming to the surface. Through the exploration of these concepts, you are becoming a part of a growing movement of people who refuse to be inhibited by narratives that are no longer relevant. There is more to this than simply gaining knowledge from the past. Taking back control of your life is the goal. It is about coming to terms with the fact that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but rather a generator of your own reality. You will begin to see problems as opportunities, setbacks as lessons, and relationships as having a purpose when you have a firm hold on the truth of your pre-birth preparation and the universal laws that govern your existence. Nevertheless, what does this imply for your life at this very moment? How does this information have the potential to alter the way you approach your day-to-day existence? Putting this knowledge into practice is where the answers are. During the next section, we will discuss the practical lessons that may be derived from these teachings. These lessons will assist you in aligning yourself with the purpose of your soul and living your life with greater clarity and intention. Awakening is the first step toward transformation, and this is the point at which theory is developed into action. Permit me to delve into the ways in which this information can improve your life right now. If everything about your existence was meticulously planned before you were born, then your life is not a collection of occurrences that happen by chance. He is working on a masterpiece right now. Each and every relationship, each and every obstacle, and each and every achievement was selected with purpose. This viewpoint has the potential to alter not only how you perceive aspects of your past, but also how you perceive aspects of your present. It is not enough to just ask, why am I doing this? Another question is, how can I bring myself into alignment with my mission at this very moment? More than just fascinating thoughts, the ancient teachings about the existence of life before birth are fascinating. They are a guide to leading a life that is meaningful, leads to growth, and brings about fulfillment. The ability to reinterpret the challenges that life presents is one of the most significant lessons that can be learned from this knowledge. They are no longer cruel or capricious. Challenges are now. It's a wonderful opportunity. There was the terrible split, the loss of the employment, and the disagreement within the family. These are all components of the educational path that your soul has chosen to assist you in developing. This does not imply that you should find pleasure in pain. However, having a knowledge of the reason for it might make it more bearable. The question that should be asked is, why is this happening to me? What can I take away from this experience? Everything is different as a result of this adjustment in perspective. Suddenly, challenges transform into stepping stones and failures transform into learning experiences. Please pause for a moment and think about your life. Consider some of the most challenging situations you've been through. How did they teach you something? Could you say that they helped you become more self-aware, empathetic, or resilient? These characteristics are not the result of a random series of adversities. Those experiences are the same reason you decided to go through with them in the first place. When you begin to view life in this manner, even the most difficult moments acquire a sense of significance and direction once you establish this perspective. You begin to realize that you are an active participant in the evolution of your soul, and you cease feeling like a victim of the circumstances that has been placed upon you. The significance of connections is yet another important thing to learn. If there is such a thing as soul contracts, then every meaningful connection you have in your life helps someone or something. Whether they are peaceful or challenging, the relationships that are closest to you offer possibilities for personal development. Is it the friend who never fails to cheer you up, the partner who pushes you to your limits, or the coworker who puts your patience to the test? Each and every one of them is contributing to your spiritual path in some way. You are encouraged to approach relationships with a stronger capacity for empathy and intention as a result of this understanding. Consider the lessons that you could be learning from the presence of a person rather than viewing them as someone who is unpleasant or toxic. Maybe it's forgiveness, limits, or patience that's the problem. However, this viewpoint is not solely concerned with one's own personal development. Gratitude is another facet of this. When you come to the realization that every relationship is a component of a larger design, you begin to develop a more profound appreciation for the individuals who are a part of your life. The people that care about you and support you are more than just good people. They are a part of your soul group and are carrying out the agreements that you made with each other before you were born. Having this awareness can help you strengthen your connections with others, thereby generating a sense of unity and purpose in the interactions you have. And now let's talk about the reason you're here. Instructions from the past serve to remind us that the soul does not incarnate without a purpose. It is on a mission. You may get a sense of what that mission might be by looking at your skills, your hobbies, and even the challenges you face. Do you find yourself drawn to the realms of leadership, teaching, healing, or creative expression? These are not arbitrary areas of interest. They are utterances from your soul instructing you to move in the direction of your destiny. When your behaviors are in harmony with these inner callings, life comes together in a more seamless manner. There are still difficulties to be encountered, but they have a sense of significance rather than being pointless. Another technique that might assist you in remaining in alignment with the purpose that your soul was created for is mindfulness. It is possible to gain access to the intuitive wisdom that is frequently obscured by the distractions that occur during the day if you are able to ground yourself in the present moment. Participating in activities such as meditation, keeping a journal, or even just spending time in nature can assist you in connecting with your higher self. There is a possibility that you will gain insight into the decisions that you are required to make or the lessons that you are destined to learn during these periods of silence. Equally transforming is the emotion of gratitude. What you don't have, and what didn't go as planned are all things that are easy to dwell on in life. But thankfulness causes a shift in perspective, which enables you to recognize the blessings that are concealed inside every experience. Take baby steps. Whether it's something as simple as a warm cup of tea or a kind word from a stranger, make it a habit to write down 3 things that you are thankful for every single day. Your brain will be rewired as a result of this practice, making it simpler for you to recognize the positive parts of your life. Through the passage of time, thankfulness transforms into a lens through which you view the world. so increasing your joy and decreasing your stress. And further significant takeaway from pre-birth teachings is the significance of living one's life with a degree of intention. There are a lot of people who go through life reacting to a situation rather than creating their own circumstances. However, if you realize that you have made a conscious decision to live this life, you will begin to take responsibility for the choices you have made. In what way do you envision yourself becoming a person? Which impact do you hope to have on the world? These are not merely questions of a philosophical nature. These are guides that are useful for figuring out how to live each day. Your life can be brought into alignment with the life you were destined to live through the use of attention, which can convert ordinary moments into important ones. This may be the most liberating lesson that you can learn. You are not the only one. When you are experiencing feelings of being overwhelmed by life, your soul group, your higher self, and the rules of the universe are all working in your favor. It is not the purpose of challenges to wear you down. You are supposed to be molded by them. Additionally, the more you adhere to this point of view, the more self-sufficient you will become. Rather than being afraid of the unknown, you start to trust the trip, secure in the knowledge that each step is a component of a more comprehensive divine design. But let me tell you something. This information is not only for you to own. Not only does it have the ability to improve your life, but it also has the potential to transform the lives of people who are in your immediate vicinity. When you live your life in a way that is genuine and in alignment with your purpose, you motivate other people to do the same. As a result of your development, a domino effect is created, which inspires the people in your life to question their own pathways and become aware of their own hidden realities. These are the beginnings of change, not by coercion or influence, but rather by setting a good example. Although the practical use of this knowledge is extremely significant, it is only the beginning of its application. Take into consideration the potential outcomes that could occur if entire societies adopted these lessons, thereby transforming fear and isolation into purpose and connection. In the following section, we will investigate how this individual awakening can possibly lead to a metamorphosis that affects the entire group. Your life is not the only thing that is altered as you become aware of your pre-birth existence. It has the ability to bring about a transformation in the planet. So let's take a more in-depth look. Whenever people become aware of the realities of their pre-birth life, the repercussions of this awakening transcend well beyond the realm of personal transformation. Imagine a future in which individuals no longer view life as a sequence of unplanned occurrences, but rather as a journey that has been meticulously planned out with the intention of fostering personal development. Imagine communities that are built on compassion, understanding, and a sense of purpose that is shared by all members. Not even close to being a utopian fantasy, it is the inevitable consequence of the waking of the collective. Fear and control systems, which have been the dominant forces throughout human history, are beginning to fall apart as more and more individuals come to terms with the journey that their soul has taken. Attaining consciousness is the initial step in achieving collective awakening. Your entire perspective alters when you come to the realization that your life has value, that your hardships serve a higher purpose, and that you are connected to something that is far greater than yourself. This knowledge easily spreads to others. Whether it be by your acts, your words, or simply your energy, you motivate other people to analyze their own life. Change is not something that occurs in a vacuum. The bravery of individuals who are willing to adopt new ways of thinking is the driving force for its diffusion. Empathy is one of the most significant outcomes that may be attributed to this awakening. When you realize that everyone around you is negotiating their own soul contracts and karmic lessons, it becomes more difficult to pass judgment on them. The person who cuts you off in traffic, the co-worker who challenges you, and the member of your family who puts your patience to the test. These individuals are not your adversaries. Rather, they are your instructors. Through this shift of viewpoint, the barriers that divide us are broken down, and in their place, compassion and understanding are brought into existence. Rather than reacting with rage or resentment, you start by asking yourself, what is it that this person could possibly be teaching me from this experience? This shared sense of empathy has the potential to bring about societal change. Imagine that instead of focusing on control and division, persons who are in charge of governments, organizations, and communities put an emphasis on connection and progress. The concept that we are all a part of a shared spiritual journey and that we are interconnected in ways that extend beyond the material world would be taken into consideration throughout the decision-making process. The resolution of conflicts could be achieved via the cultivation of a more profound sense of purpose, and the process of advancement would be driven by collaboration rather than rivalry. On the other hand, this change does not occur overnight. The process starts with a series of small, deliberate activities. To begin, a single individual makes the decision to live their life in an authentic manner, to align themselves with the purpose of their soul, and to approach life with gratitude and mindfulness. As a result of these decisions, other people are motivated to follow suit, which sets off a domino effect that eventually spreads throughout families, towns, and finally entire societies. Even if the procedure is natural, the impact it has is significant. The dissemination of information is among the most effective methods for bringing about a communal awakening. During the course of several centuries, esoteric teachings were concealed from the general public, kept secret among initiates, or buried deep within obscure books. But now we have the power to disseminate these facts to a large number of individuals, allowing us to communicate with others who might not have been exposed to them otherwise. In order to make this information available to more people, platforms such as this one play an important role. But the obligation does not end there. Every one of us have the ability to impart the knowledge that we have acquired, whether it is through conversations, creative expression, or just by choosing to live in accordance with our core beliefs. Recognizing that not everyone will immediately embrace this knowledge is a crucial step to take. It is possible that some people will be resistant, either because they are holding to views that are already recognizable to them, or because they are afraid of the ramifications of such a significant shift in perspective. And it's not a problem. Everyone goes through the process of awakening at their own rate because it is a deeply personal experience. It is not the intention to compel change. Rather, the objective is to sow the seeds of inquiry and inspiration. Try to get people to think by asking them questions. You should tell stories that touch people on a spiritual level. The smallest acts of generosity have the potential to set off a chain reaction that results in a profound shift. It's not a novel concept to think of a communal awakening. It has been predicted in the spiritual traditions of a variety of different cultures. The idea of a golden age or an era of enlightenment can be found in some religious traditions, including Buddhism, Hinduism, and even indigenous teachings. According to these predictions, there will come a time when humanity will move from a state of ignorance and separation to one of awareness and unity. Many people are of the opinion that we are currently residing in that period of change. It would appear that more individuals than ever before are looking for more profound truths, as evidenced by the increased interest in spiritual teachings, meditation, and mindfulness practices. The collective awakening, on the other hand, is not only about spiritual development. Another aspect of this is the disintegration of control structures. When people have a better understanding of the rules of karma, vibration, and attraction, they are more difficult to manipulate. They stop living in fear. They stop mindlessly following authority, and they begin to question the narratives that they have been taught through their lives. Because of this, the information regarding the existence of pre-birth has been kept hidden for such a long time. It poses a danger to the very basis upon which control-based systems are constructed. When people are aroused, it is difficult to split them, distract them, or bring them under control. Imagine how powerful it would be to have a community in which members help each other align with the mission that their souls were meant to fulfill. Instead of competing with one another for resources or position, they work together to create conditions that foster growth and authenticity. Children may be taught about universal rules and mindfulness in schools, which would encourage them to discover their own individual talents and abilities. Workplaces might place a higher value on creativity and purpose than they do on profit. Relationships could be constructed on the basis of personal development rather than dependence. A society in which individuals and communities flourish in harmony is the vision of a collective awakening, and this is the world that we envision. Obviously, in light of the difficulties that exist in the present day, this ideal can appear to be far off or perhaps unattainable. However, keep in mind that transformation begins with the taking of tiny, deliberate actions. This greater transformation is something that you contribute to when you connect yourself with your purpose. Reverberations are sent through the collective consciousness with each and every interaction, every act of compassion, and every decision to live an authentic life with integrity. You might not be able to perceive the whole influence of your activities, but you can be sure that they are significant. It is possible to awaken a single person, but it is impossible to stop the awakening of a large number of people. It is possible that the potential for collective transformation will increase enormously as more people begin to align themselves with these ancient truths and step into their own mission. We need to take actionable efforts toward change in order to break free from the cycles of control and fear that we have been trapped in. Within the following paragraphs, we will discuss the means by which you might break the cycle of control and restore your liberty. When one reaches this point, knowledge transforms into action, and waking transforms into release. Come with me as we go forward to the next step. However, although it is freeing to have knowledge of pre-birth existence and the universal principles that determine our life, this is just the beginning of the process. One thing is to have an understanding of the truth. Being a part of it is another. We are surrounded by control systems that are designed to keep us separated from our purpose and power. These control systems include societal norms as well as economic constraints. It takes more than just awareness to actually break free. Taking action, having bravery, and making a commitment to living an authentic life are all required. How about the benefits? You may say that they are nothing short of revolutionary. By regaining your sovereignty, you are taking the first step toward achieving freedom. This entails acknowledging that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but rather the creator of your own experience. Yes, difficulties will come your way, and outside influences will have an effect on your life, but the power rests in how you react to these obstacles. You will be able to change from an attitude of powerlessness to one of empowerment when you realize that every challenge is a part of the plan that you helped build. Stop asking me why this is happening to me. I don't understand. Start by asking yourself, what am I able to do with this? The next step is to examine the narratives that you have been trained to accept with a critical eye. The concept that enjoyment is derived from external accomplishments, that success is measured by wealth, or that security is found in conformity are all examples of such ideas. Every single one of them is an illusion that is maintained by systems that make money off of your acquiescence. For you to be able to break free, you need to reframe these notions according to your needs. What exactly does it mean to you to be successful? What is it that makes you truly happy? In what ways does your life feel like it is aligned with the mission of your soul? These inquiries are not merely intellectual, rather they serve as the basis for recovering your life. Learning to disconnect oneself from thinking that is based on fear is an essential component of this process. Among all the tools of control, fear is the most effective. It does this by keeping you docile, preventing you from taking risks, and making you dependent on outside authority for direction. The understanding that fear is frequently the result of conditioning rather than actuality, on the other hand, causes it to lose its hold on you. It is time to start confronting your anxieties. Do they have a foundation in reality? Or are they relics of a story that was written with the intention of limiting you? It is only when you confront your concerns head-on that you come to the realization that the majority of them are illusions, shadows generated by a system that lives on, keeping you restricted. On this path, mindfulness is a potent weapon that can be utilized. Keeping yourself in the here and now allows you to detach yourself from the din of cultural demands and reestablish a connection with your own inner guidance. You can learn to shut out the buzz from the outside world and listen to the voice of your soul by engaging in activities such as meditation, journaling, or simply taking some time each day to think. Although these techniques may appear to be straightforward, they are revolutionary in a culture that is constantly trying to take you away from who you are. They make it possible for you to make decisions, not out of fear or duty, but rather from a position of honesty and being in tune with you. Making sure that your behaviors are in line with your ideals is another crucial stage. Once you have a clear understanding of your purpose, the next step is to conduct your life in a manner that is congruent with that mission. Take baby steps. Choose one aspect of your life, such as your work, relationships, or daily routines, in which you feel that you are not aligned with your truth, and then take the necessary actions to bring that aspect closer to your truth. It may be necessary for you to pursue a passion that you have ignored, establish boundaries with those who drain your energy, or simplify your lifestyle in order to concentrate on the things that are actually important to you. You are strengthening your sovereignty with each step that you take, which in turn diminishes the system's control on you. In addition, in order to break free, you need to analyze where your time, energy, and resources are going. Are you making investments in items that will bolster your development? On the other hand, are you succumbing to systems that take advantage of your insecurities? Take into consideration the materials that you take in, the things that you purchase, and the routines that you keep. You are casting a vote on the kind of world you want to live in with every decision you make. Through the process of making conscious decisions, you have the ability to redirect your energy away from control structures and toward the creation of a life that is purposeful and free. The acceptance of vulnerability is one of the components of breaking free that is both the most difficult and the most rewarding. To live a genuine life, you must be willing to put yourself in situations where you are judged, fail, and unknowable. It entails taking a step away from the security provided by conventional conventions and having the courage to build your own path. However, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is a sign of strength. In spite of the fact that it may be unsettling, having the confidence to be seen for who you really are is essential. Moreover, it is precisely in this area of vulnerability that genuine development and connection take place. As you make your escape, you will become aware of something very remarkable. Others are motivated by your activities. You give everyone around you permission to live their lives in an authentic manner when you truly live your life. As a result of your bravery, you become a beacon that demonstrates to others that it is possible to break free from the cycle of control and enter a life that has a purpose. The beginning of the collective awakening does not begin with massive revolutions, but rather with individuals recovering their power and leading by example. However, you should not consider this procedure to be an easy one. It takes perseverance, introspection, and a willingness to confront discomfort in order to break away from the cycle of control that has been established. There will be times when people will try to pull you back into the old narratives, and there will be times when fear will whisper that it is safer to conform. Always keep in mind that every step you take toward authenticity is a step toward freedom, not only for yourself, but for everyone who follows in your footsteps as well. This is something to keep in mind throughout certain circumstances. Joining Insights Academy is something you should do right now if you haven't done so before. These transformative ideas are explored in greater depth in our free newsletter, which also provides the reader with exclusive insights that are not available on this website. In addition, for a limited time only, you will be given a free copy of the Kybalion, which is a hermetic literature that reveals the rules of the cosmos that have been concealed from view. You can take the next step on your journey toward liberation by signing up through the link that is provided in the description above. The cycle of control has been passed down from generation to generation, but it is not impossible to break. It all begins with you, with the decisions you make, the bravery you exhibit, and the determination you have to live an authentic life. In addition, once you break free, you set off a chain reaction that has the potential to alter not only your own life, but also the lives of a great number of other people. In spite of this voyage is not yet over. It is the final step that completes the puzzle and puts everything together. There is one more piece to the puzzle. Within the following paragraph, we will investigate the ways in which this information reinterprets existence and molds the future. In the end, let's complete this voyage together. Imagine for a moment that all you believed you knew about life, death, and the meaning of this life was just the beginning. Not only is the knowledge of pre-birth life a revelation about the past, but other things as well. As a key to molding your future, it is essential. This comprehension reframes the way in which you perceive each and every instant of your existence. Through this process, difficulties are transformed into opportunities. Relationships are transformed into soul connections, and existence itself is transformed into a masterpiece of purposeful development. After you have a firm grasp on this reality, the world will no longer appear random or chaotic to you. It has a sense of vitality and purpose. And you too do it. Having a single significant discovery is the first step toward redefining existence. Not only are you a body, but you are also a personality. The soul that you are is on a journey. This seemingly insignificant fact has far-reaching effects. That your value is not dependent on the things you accomplish, the amount of money you make, or the responsibilities you play in society is what this phrase signifies. The fact that you are alive, your capacity for development, and your connection to the larger whole are the things that give you value. When you adopt this attitude, the pressure to conform to societal standards is removed, and you are given the opportunity to appreciate your individuality. Eventually, life becomes more than just a competition to achieve or gain. It evolves into an investigation into the meaning of what it means to be alive. From this vantage point, even the most insignificant things take on new meaning. Each and every one of the conversations you have, the choices you make, and the manner in which you interact with other people especially add to the larger tapestry that is your soul's journey. In every moment, you have the opportunity to align yourself with your purpose, to express your authenticity, and to live in harmony with the universal principles that govern all of us. It is the way in which this understanding reframes death that is among the most transformational components of this knowledge. Over the course of several centuries, people have considered death as a source of dread and finality, a vast unknown that must be avoided at all costs. The realization that we existed before birth, on the other hand, demonstrates that death is not the end. A transformation has taken place, and we are now returning to the spiritual worlds, where our adventure will continue. This insight has the potential to bring comfort to individuals who are grieving and calm to those who are afraid of death. The fact that the ties we make in this life are never totally gone is brought to our attention by this. They merely take on a different appearance. You are now able to confront the obstacles that life throws at you with a sense of trust because you have this understanding. In situations where things do not go according to plan, you might remind yourself that the journey of the soul is not a linear one. There are times when progress is not readily apparent, and growth frequently takes the appearance of failures. Every event, regardless of how challenging it may be, is a step in the right direction. There is a process that is far more extensive than what we are able to perceive in the present time. Because of this faith, you are able to let go of the impulse to exert control and instead accept the natural flow of life. A further component of redefining existence is the acceptance of thankfulness. As soon as you realize that every person, event, and experience that occurs in your life, it is a component of a larger design, you start to view them as gifts. Even the most difficult experiences have a purpose and can teach you valuable lessons that will help you develop. When you practice gratitude, your perspective switches from one of scarcity to one of plenty, which enables you to concentrate on what you have rather than what you do not have. Your state of mind and, consequently, your reality can undergo a profound transformation as a result of this powerful practice. As a greater number of individuals become aware of these realities, the possibility of a collective transformation increases. Imagine a world in which individuals view themselves as souls on a journey, each of them united by a common mission and directed by laws that are fundamental to all existence. This is not a dream that is far away. It is a potential that within one's grasp. Individuals such as yourself who are willing to question, learn, and develop are the starting point for this matter. A much broader awakening is taking place, and your journey is a part of it. This awakening has the potential to transform not only your life, but also the entire fabric of society. However, the potency of this information is directly proportional to the actions that you conduct with it. Let yourself think about what you've discovered and ask yourself, now that I know this, how will I change the way I live my life? Are you going to repeat the same mistakes over and over again? Or are you going to take the route that your soul has chosen? The decision is entirely up to you, and it is one of the most significant choices you will ever make in your life. As we move forward, let's take this a step farther. You have only just begun to unravel all of the realities that you have discovered today. During this voyage, there is an additional layer that connects everything together and exposes what happens beyond the realm of life as we know it. In order to go deeper into the truths that they do not want you to know regarding what happens beyond this life, feel free to click on the video that is currently displayed here. Let us know by leaving a comment if you found this video to be meaningful to you. I completely understand. There is a component of this awakening that is your voice, and the beginning of your journey has just begun.